So Terrorizer here with Dan Lilker of Brutal Truth, who just had an album drop, Evolution Through Revolution. I'm just wondering if you've got any horror stories to recount from the process. I know there's a million things that could go wrong, or was it all smooth sailing?
No, this was really smooth sailing. I can't think of anything that happened during the writing or recording or mixing of it that was that traumatic. I mean, we're really happy, we're satisfied with the results of all the time we put into writing the songs, and the recording came out really cool. So yeah, I mean, sorry to disappoint you in that aspect, but hey, there's our drummer.
There he is.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard Hoke. Anyways, well, no horror stories. Everything just came really naturally again, writing together, you know, again after 10 years.
Well, we have a new guitar player now, Eric, and he and I live in the same town in Rochester, right over the lake from Toronto, and we even drink Labatt Blue. I do. But the point being that we would get together and write a bunch of stuff together. We would just, I'd go to the attic of his house and we'd grab a couple of guitars, do a few bong hits, grab a couple of cold ones, and then, well, at least one of us would be prepared, like, check this out. And go, you know, it'd be really cool after that if you do this. And through the course of like 1 hour and a half, we'd write like the skeletons of like 3 different songs. And then Rich, our drummer, would come up from Philly once a month, and we'd have a jam spot where we could do it loud. And then we'd refine it and do a kind of recording on it on Eric's 16 track, send it over to Kevin. We just did that like, I don't know, 9-10 times, and there you go, you got a record.
I was going to ask too, hitting the bong is still the source of inspiration for Brutal Truth.
Have you heard our new record?
Yes.
It's still a little odd, a little off. I mean, you know, it's fast as hell, but still it's like a little, why would they decide to do that over that beat? Yeah, that's the weed.
Like, you guys are, you know, revered by your peers, by the fans, everyone else. Like, I was just wondering, did you ever imagine that happening? How does it feel to have, you know, so much respect after, you know, and starting something, you know, so early in the genre?
Well, it's very flattering, I guess. The funny part is that when we were together in our original incarnation from 90 to 98, even at the end there, I mean, people knew who we were and we had people who supported us, but we didn't get this elevated status until after we broke up. But the funny thing is, I think people finally, the world caught up to us. I think when we put out Signs of the Animal Kingdom, it threw a lot of people. They're like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And then bands started getting influenced by that, and a few years later, all of a sudden people went back and listened to that, and then they really appreciated it. So then also the fact that we were broken up, that gives you that automatic thing that, you know, I call it postmortem syndrome. And the whole time that we weren't around, I'd be on tour with other bands, just doing shit, and people would come up and go, are you ever going to do Brutal Truth again? Do you have any idea how influential? Do you have, you know, what kind of grindcore icons you guys were? And I'm like, no, not really, because I don't remember that when we were around. But then when we started doing stuff again, and we had a MySpace, all of a sudden it got flooded with all this stuff, which is why we put out another record, because all of a sudden people were like, oh my God, you guys are back, you guys do this and this, and, you know. Just think the Japanese people with their brutal, primitive English, just, oh, please grind again. You know, it brings the tear to your eye. You got to do it.
Yeah. Well, then what are the plans for world domination to follow up with all of this reverence? Are you going on tour for 10 months or 2 years, or what's the plan?
We can't do those lengthy tours. We got a couple of daddies in the band now. So we have to do kind of like little strikes, you know. Like, for instance, this is coming out for 10 days over here from the States. And in the States and Canada, we were doing like these weekends. But we are going to try to get everywhere, you know, back to Japan and Australia, do a more proper European club tour as opposed to this stuff. This stuff's great, but you can't do too many club shows around this because there's so many festivals.
Yeah.
We do have 4 shows coming up in Spain that should be fine because the Spanish love Brutal Truth. They're very passionate people, like the Italians, and, you know, they kind of, their heads explode when we do blast beats, so I think that'll be good.
Okay, well, in between all of these, you know, spurts, do you guys, like, are you continuously writing? Is that something you keep doing?
No, but there's little things are popping up in the brain, because the writing process for us is like, there's nothing really set in stone. But if I start coming up with cool shit, I'll call up Eric and go, dude, I should come over and show you this before I forget it. And he would go, well, what if you did it like that? And then, boom, start writing again. So it's a natural process.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, you can't just, it's kind of crude, but I've always said that writing songs is like taking a dump. You can't just sit in the toilet and go, okay, I will now defecate. It has to be, you got to feel it, and then you got to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you yourself, you're the jack of all trades. Some may say a master of all trades as well. I mean, you've done grind, you've done thrash, crossover, black metal. What is there anything else in the works? I mean, are you going to do some Viking-inspired power metal, or, you know, I don't even know, some progressive stoner rock?
Oh, it's funny. I was thinking of progressive stoner rock. It would be fun to do something like that, just to play slow once in a while, to give you a little more room to dig around on your instrument.
Yeah.
You know, the hard part would be resisting the temptation to like throw a blast in. You'd have to like really you'd have to really draw a line in the sand and go, this is what it's going to be, and
just
don't let it fester into something else.
Yeah.
But that would just be something fun to do. I mean, that's usually what I start doing, and then all of a sudden it gets popular. But
well, it's the name attached, you know. You're a popular guy.
I'd say I'm blushing, but I'm probably just getting a sunburn.
All right, well, thanks so much, Dan. High fives, cheers. All right, Terrorizer, Dan Lilker, Brutal Truth tonight. If you don't buy the album, at least buy a t-shirt.